A New Hope, Nier Chapter 124 Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of Azazyel's stories. Samus was a literal godsend. Her Chozo suit was a literal work of magic/science art that baffled even the combined processing power minds of the android researchers. But beyond her insane Chozo tech that the androids couldn't even get their heads wrapped around. What she could give was the key to our future. The information to the Metroid universes, human federations, faster-than-lightspeed travel, space pirates living metal, and of course, mass-producible hard light technology that could be mounted on ships, vehicles and everywhere that had stable surfaces. It was all freely given to us. Partly because the technology was literally worthless in her eyes due to growing up with Chozo tech that made a mockery of it. It was like she grew up in Warhammer 40k as a Necron, knowing the ins and outs for all Necron tech, and was then some guy she owed a massive debt to, asked for help understanding some piddly Imperium tech. Either way, Samus and I came to a fair understanding as we began exploring Talon 4 in order to gather the keys to get into the seal that sealed away Metroid Prime as well as kill the Phazon taint on this planet. Through Samus, I found out most of the planet was filled with massive tunnels that had powerful elevators crossing through it that literally bore through the Earth to such a degree that in order to get from the equivalent of the middle of North America to South America we would take an elevator that would drop us through the world's surface, literally dropping us through the ground until we reached where would need to be within minutes and only need to walk a couple of miles through underground tunnels to get back to the surface. Either way, Samus and I went looking for all 12 Chozo keys that made up the seal. The first one was easy. The seal of the wild was buried under the corpse of the giant plant monster Flagra she had already killed to get a suit upgrade. But as we went to it, we walked into the massive solar room with the dead plant laying on its pedestal. Further proof of Phazon's complete insanity was shown. I fucking told you all. Space aids are terrible. I cursed as literal space pirate ghosts attacked us. Due to Phazon corrupting not only mind, body but even soul. Even in death was your ghostly form a weapon used by the terrible hive mind. Bolts of literal soul-devouring Phazon was shot at us. But thanks to our aura and once again summoning a sandstorm to wear down the energy weapons, my androids and Samus were able to kill the ghosts with the androids using their aura-infused dust round to great effect on the ghosts. The whole reason, in the game's lore, to allow the existence of the Phazon clone Samus's existence, was due to Phazon's ability to even touch upon the soul, and even though later on in the first game she lost her Phazon suit which saved her life in all reality. Those soul-altering properties are what allowed the Phazon corrupted soul clone of Samus to use Chozo technology and become a menace in the later games. Either way, with ghost space pirates super dead, Samus walked over atop the dead plant and got the Chozo key of the wild. With the full key looked sort of like a gear with it being round with some spikes, and with the full gear looked like a seal-breaking key once we got all the individual pieces. 1 down, 11 more to go. I said wryly, but honestly I wasn't being impatient. As the longer we spent running around looking for these keys and grabbing other things, the longer Yoarha had to scan Samus's ship along with reading its data logs about archived lesser technologies. Samus nodded to my point even as I could visibly see through her green visor that had some blue on the edges of the visor plate, how some small pop-ups appeared on the visor that she was speed reading to great effect until she grunted as she muttered. I see now, this plant was supposed to be a biological weapon to be used against the Phazon due to its ability to purge itself of contamination via harnessing pure solar energy to fight the corruptive properties of Phazon. I blinked at that little monologue and then I dryly retorted even as A2 snorted at my response. And didn't you kill this thing by focusing a bunch of reflective solar panels onto it, to burn it alive? Samus groused and muttered about how the Chozo had a bad habit of letting their biological works of art get ahead of themselves and cause a lot of issues. Which was ironic with how she very much was one of those biological wonders, with how the Chozo did the equivalent of making a bog-standard human into a Chozo in the shape of a human to fit into using their technology freely. Either way, we continued on, grabbing her suit upgrades as we traipsed around the world using the insane elevators that would shoot us around the planet at high speeds as we returned back to the jungle overgrowth of Talon's central area. There we got her grappling hook, X-ray vision that actually was more like soul vision as the vision actually pinged between dimensions and could even pick up and allow the user to clearly see ghosts. As Samus got scared as shit when she saw the massive form my guardian chilling in my shadow. Still, we continued our adventures going deeper into the jungles to get the next key in the key of the Chozo. Yes, original name I know, but that's what it was. So, Why is everything behind a puzzle with the Chozo? I asked Riley as Samus came out of her ball form after going underwater to use her Powerball little bombs to turn the mechanisms that would raise the little tower thing from underground in the pool of water that within the small tower thing held the Chozo key. Samus literally took off her helmet and threw her hair back and forth to get it unmatted as before she gave me a gimlet glare. Because my people are a long-lived people that seek challenges in their lives. Even using the bathroom, or getting all the ingredients to just make a sandwich had multiple puzzles involved due to their knowledge-seeking and testing culture. Samus said with her face became seemingly haunted by some terrible memory and I could just imagine it. Imagine you were on the toilet and you asked for toilet paper from your family. But in order to get the toilet paper, you needed to solve a Rubik's Cube before they would give you the paper you needed. No wonder Samus was kinda crazy. I patted Samus on her stupidly bulky weird shoulder pauldrons on her armor. Don't worry, I won't bully you Samus, I said teasingly and she just rolled her eyes making me think about how she and Yang would probably get along pretty well. Either way, I straightened up and looked to 2B. How is the clearing of the other areas marked as having the keys? I asked. 2B smiled a small proud thing as she confidently responded. Yoarha combat models have taken to combating and stress testing high-temperature gear and acquiring the pedestal that holds the key of strength while Neo leading Cinder, Emerald, and a couple defensive Yoarha models have broken into a space pirate base exterminating all within while also acquiring the pedestal that holds the key of Sunday. She explained quickly making me blink. And at that, I nodded while thinking on how Cinder and Emerald were operating under their android overlords that were assuredly keeping them on a tight leash. Though with how Cinder had several cyberpunk-like mods added to her body to make her stronger and also kept her bound to Yoarha via how they controlled those augments including things like her mechanical heart, lungs, arms and legs. She didn't have much chance to be disobedient when a single android could send a mental thought/order for her augments to lock up and for her to drop like a sack of bricks. And Neo didn't get hurt? I asked to clarify and A2 snorted as she responded for 2B. Nah, the little midget was screaming about how this hard labor needed to be paid via more ice cream flavors being added to the ice cream buffet though, A2 said with humor clear in her voice making my face twitch. Fucking Neo. She literally ate more ice cream in a week than a dozen cows could actually produce.